a technological gulf. There's always been a generation gap from parents to children, but I swear it has widened in the last 10 years, and it's because of this. I don't know why we even call it a phone. Those of you who have children know that the last thing they'll do with this thing is put it against their head and talk into it. My kids would not return a call if you paid them. What it is instead is a full-blown computer in your pocket with perpetual internet connection, and everything you hear about nowadays in society and culture and business, everything stems from that seed. So, you know, the whole Uber thing, Airbnb, and the Fitbits and Netflix and, you know, Pandora, all of this stemmed from this invention, which is 10 years ago this month. So a lot of people say, oh, the reason the smartphone is such a big deal is because it's got the touch screen, it doesn't have keys. That's true, but I feel like a lot of people are missing the really big story. Inside here are so many sensors. There's like 24 sensors. There's input and output for audio and video. There's a touch-sensitive touch screen, GPS, a gyroscope, a compass. Starting in the iPhone 6S, they started putting in a barometer. I guess the people were clamoring for a barometer. And these sensors, tiny, cheap, they are just exploding. These sensors are launching entire billion-dollar businesses by themselves. They're expecting to have trillions of these out in our lives in the next 10 years. You've heard, I'm sure, in this business of the Internet of Things. I actually hate that name. It's not, like, what's the grammar? The Internet of Things. You know, I would put on my jeans of blue. Like, nobody talks like that. It is not even an accurate term, right? It makes it sound like your dishwasher is going to send tweets to your radio or something. That's not what it is. So we need a better name for that. But what it basically means is putting these little sensors into everyday appliances in our homes. So the light bulbs were the first one. I remember I reviewed these, and I'm like, called my kids around. I had them screwed in. I'm like, watch, kids, I'm about to do something that will change your lives. I can turn on that light bulb from my phone. Watch. All right, let me just put in my passcode. Okay, home screen. Hold on, let me find the app. What folder did I put that in? All right, okay. And, oh, what was the password I did for those light bulbs? Look, it's on! And my kids are like, Dad. So, anyway, so then there's the Internet of Things coffee maker, Internet of Things front door lock, front doorbell camera, start your car, operate the robotic vacuum cleaner. Right now there's kind of a land rush to stick these sensors and Wi-Fi into everything there is, and some of them get like a little silly. This isn't one of them. I have two of these at home, upstairs and downstairs. I'm sure you've run into these. The one on the left is the Lyric from Honeywell. It uses your phone's GPS, so it knows when you're 10 minutes away from your house. Yeah, so it warms up the house by the time you get there. And same thing when you leave for the office, it knows you're not there anymore. The Nest was bought last year by Google for $3.7 quintillion. It was based on the simple observation that 50% of Americans who buy programmable thermostats never program them. It's too hard. You know, they just leave it at 70 and that's it. But I'll often have fun with so I can, wherever I am in the world, I can look home and see, you know, what the temp is, or even control the temp back at my home. I sometimes have fun with the kids, you know. Why is it so cold in here? But some of them are really dumb. This is the Internet of Things water bottle. It tracks how much water you've had to drink and sends that to your phone. This is the Internet of Things doggy treat dispenser. You supply the iPad, and you can have, you know, when you're away from the house, you can have one-on-one conversations with your dog. Press a button in the app, it dispenses a treat. How did we live before we had this? This, believe it or not, is an actual product on Amazon right now. This is the Internet of Things egg tray. ladies and gentlemen, you are alive to see the day where anywhere you go in the world, you can open an app and see how many eggs you got left. The world will never be the same. $23. This is the Internet of Things toilet paper holder. I guess their motto is "Know before you go." I don't know. This, I'm embarrassed about this, but we're all grown-ups here. This is the Internet of Things condom, and I don't know if you can see the ad text there, but they say, "Have you ever wondered how many calories you're burning?" I think I just sold 30 of these things. I can honestly answer that question. Never! I have never wondered how many calories. Okay. So, another entire industry launched by this sensor revolution is, of course, virtual reality. The idea here is, instead of shooting aliens on your TV, you're wearing these big, hot, heavy, expensive, sweaty goggles with a huge cable coming out of them connected to a $1,500 PC, and you can look around the game inside you and shoot aliens wherever your view happens to find them. I think it's overhyped. I think there are some niches where it's very promising. There are games, of course, rock concerts and city tours, and real estate. I'm sure you guys, of all people, know about these apps where you can now tour the. Oh, sorry. Too loud. Stop the audio. Okay. Anyway, do we have an audio control? Because the volume controls on my thingy are disabled. There you go. High tech. No, that's the thermostat. So this concept is really, really powerful, but not as powerful as augmented reality. And that's where, instead of the goggles being opaque, you're looking through the goggles or your phone at the world around you, and the computer is superimposing graphics on what you're seeing. That, I think, has a lot more promise. This is a little medley I made of apps. So this one, you look down through the phone, it shows you what subway lines are beneath your feet. And then you raise it 90 degrees, and it shows you which way to walk to get to those stations. There's one for the New York subway and the London subway of these apps. So this one is called Twitterround. You point it at a building, it shows you who's on Twitter right now, and then you tap one of their icons, it shows you what they're saying. Which is usually, there's some pervert out there with a phone. Yeah. This is an experimental app. It uses facial recognition to identify who you're looking at and gives you their social media contacts right there. I think that could be so useful, at meetings like this. Oh, hi, Bob. I think it could be super handy. So really, augmented reality has been around for a couple of years. The big one was last summer with Pokemon Go. You remember that? That was the biggest deal. Basically, you walk around town and you're trying to catch critters that you see fluttering around your own actual sights and sounds of the neighborhood. So the inventor of this wanted to get kids off the couch and out into their physical worlds while not giving up their computer games. So this was the result. It was a huge hit. Here's some stats for you. In 2 days, this game was installed on 5% of smartphones in the world. Unbelievable. Nintendo stock went up 50% in a week. Why? Because of statistics like this. 3,000 McDonald's stores paid Nintendo to make those critters appear near their front doors. Genius. And perhaps the most amazing statistic of all, my stepson, who is, shall we say, not a svelte young man, walked 17 miles chasing critters in his first weekend. It was literally life-changing. But just a month ago, Apple came out with iOS 11, and the new iPhones, which makes a huge push into augmented reality, makes the apps better, makes them more realistic. Here's a little medley of some of the new apps that have just come out in a week. This one is a virtual tape measure. I don't know why you would use it to measure a tape measure, but for rooms and furniture and things like that. I don't know if any of you are in the real estate business, but this could be handy. This one, again, IKEA, Target, Amazon, they all have this. You try out furniture in your home without actually putting it there. You can change the position, the size, the placement, the color, the design before you actually buy it. This one's a game, but what's cool is it starts with you using this blowtorch to cut a hole in your own wall. And then the space you've cut open opens up and the game world is inside. This one I'm not sure what to say. It makes a little Japanese anime pixie girl dance for you. I don't know what it's for, but I can easily see where this is going. Wait till 2.0. Anyway, there's no telling where AR could go. I made up this example, but you know it's coming. This is the swine flu app. My son is such a good sport. He let me infect him. Anyway, so AR is huge and is going to be huge, completely amazing. And all of this, I mean, when we think of sensors, that's just the foundation on the whole automation world. I've always thought robots were cool, but when I was a kid, it was like, coming up on Nova, the latest in robots, and it would turn out to be just some arm in a car factory doing that. No, I want robots to be like 2 foot, 2 eyes, walking like C-3PO, and it never existed. It's too hard, right? Like when you walk, you have 3 systems keeping you upright. Your feet can sense whether you're balanced, you have your inner ear, and you have your eyes looking at the horizon. You'd have to recreate all of that in mechanics. So until 3 years ago, there were no actual bipedal walking robots. And then DARPA did this incredible thing. I don't know if you know about DARPA. It's the one truly cool part of your government. It's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Administration. It's the R&D lab for the military. And one thing they love to do is to kickstart entire industries by starting a challenge. So the self-driving car you've heard about, that's not a Google project. That was a DARPA project. DARPA said, here's $1 million to whoever can come up with a car that drives itself on this course. And the guy who won it, a guy named Sebastian Thrun, was then hired by Google to bring his project to them. They didn't develop it. And the cell phone network, DARPA project. The internet, DARPA project. GPS, DARPA. All of this stuff. So really amazing outfit. And a couple years ago, they witnessed what had happened at the Fukushima power plant, right? So it turns out this nuclear power plant meltdown would have been saved had the employees shut off the water before they fled the plant. But they were too terrified, they just dropped everything and ran. So DARPA said, this should never happen again. Let's develop walking robots for the first time that could have gone in after them and shut the plant down. So they came up with this $3.5 million to anyone, university, high school club, anyone who can come up with a robot that can do these 8 tasks in half an hour. Drive a car, get out of it, open a door designed for a person, shut off the water valve, pick up a Black & Decker power drill and cut a hole in a piece of sheetrock in case there's a survivor. Then there's going to be a surprise task. It turned out to be unplugging a big 240-volt power socket and replugging it 2 feet away. Cross over 12 feet of rubble and then exit a flight of stairs. I took my kids to the finals of this. It was just amazing. This is Carnegie Mellon's robot driving up. They had this like a mock-up of the power plant, like a stage set here. And the thing got out, walked over. Now here's what's important. right now the robot is under remote control by its creators, okay? But once it's through the door, DARPA cut the Wi-Fi. It is thinking for itself once it's through that door. Incredible. An autonomous robot. So see that red handle? That's the water it had to shut off. These are the drills. Cut a hole in that sheetrock. There's the power plug. There's the cinder blocks on the right. Walks over that stuff, goes up the stairs. It was mind-blowing. I interviewed the head of this program, and he pointed out, you can't look at this and not tell me that when we're 90, those things aren't going to be taking care of us in our homes. I mean, this is 1.0. Those did not exist 3 years ago. So a lot of people are like, oh, great, the robot uprising is upon us. So just to reassure you, now I'll show you the outtakes. What do you mean, oh, it's a machine? So the incredible thing... Too much coffee! I think we've all had days like this. The thing is, most of them just got right up and went on. It's pretty incredible. He missed the winch. He turned the handle, he just missed it. Oh, he made it through the rubble and then fell. Anyway, so it's coming on fast. And when we think of robots, we need to not think of them just as the C-3PO style, because the same concept of artificial intelligence and automation is entering every realm. This is Amazon's delivery drone. You might have read about it. It's already up and running in Europe. The only reason it's not here yet is because we don't have the FAA rules decided yet. It's a cross between a plane and a helicopter. Can carry packages up to 5 pounds, which turns out to be 80% of what Amazon sells. It's got a range of 10 miles. And what you do is you put this mat out on your lawn or your roof. It's using computer vision to look for the mat. It finds it, drops off your package, and flies away. I interviewed the guy who runs this program too, and I said, what's to stop people from, why, look, honey, looks like someone ordered a Samsung TV. And he totally shut me down. He goes, I guess they could do that, but then they could also shoot the FedEx trucks today. Like, oh yeah. I thought I was so brilliant. And you've heard of the self-driving car. These are Google's. They've driven 2 million miles now on public roads with only 11 accidents, which is an astonishing record. People say, like, I don't want to share my road with some computer. You know what? I don't want to share my road with you. Like, people are the worst drivers. Last statistic, 100% of all car accidents are caused by people. Oh, here's the kindergartner test. Anyway, so the concept is that people can't be trusted. Of those 11 accidents, 9 of them were when the self-driving car was stopped at a light and some human idiot rear-ended it. It's not even its fault. So in the new model of these, Google has decided to do the only thing it could: remove the steering wheel. There's no more steering wheel or pedals in the latest model self-driving car. So a lot of people are freaked out by the self-driving car, but it's coming already. All the 2018 car models do most of it. They stay in the lane, they follow GPS, they accelerate and brake, they park themselves and so on. But I don't think we're thinking far enough ahead, because the next step is not self-driving cars, it's Uber plus self-driving cars. This is going to be the mind fryer, and this isn't just me making this up. Ford, GM, Lyft, Uber, Tesla have pumped $12 billion into this in the last year. The idea is you will not own cars anymore. When you need a ride, you'll push a button and an electric self-driving car will come to get you. You'll never have to look for parking. The car will never be cold when it first turns on. And it is totally coming. And you really have to think, so much of our society is built around our fallibility as drivers. All these things, driver's ed, will go away. driver's licenses. You won't need one because you won't own a car. You won't do any driving. Your 9-year-old wants to go to a sleepover across town. Okay, see you tomorrow. Like off the kid goes. Car insurance, won't need it. Speed limits, that was designed for us. These self-driving cars can go 80 miles an hour 2 feet apart without an accident. They don't need speed limits. Garages can be remade into guest rooms or offices. Honking, car alarms. Motels were designed for sleepy drivers. The whole industry will shrivel up because if you're sleepy, you just sleep. Drunk driving, get as drunk as you want. Open a 6-pack. The car will just let you know when it gets there. The downside of this is we have to think about the 250,000 taxi, Uber, and Lyft drivers that are employed in this country. I should also bring up, it's not just cars, right? They're working on self-driving trains. That in the background, that's a self-driving cargo ship now operational in Japan. Inevitably, Boeing is working on... You don't think so? Might lower your ticket price. No? Anyone? Yeah, the problem is not going to be the technology. It's going to be getting anybody to get on one of those things. 3 months back, I did a story for CBS Sunday Morning about automation and jobs. I rode on this regular truck in Florida on public roads, self-driving truck. I was in the cab. This guy is not touching the wheel, not touching the pedals. He's just a safety driver. Just in case they were in beta testing 3 months ago, they intend to launch in December. Next month, there will be 50-ton self-driving trucks on the road with you. Totally amazing. I should point out there are 3.5 million truck drivers in the country. This is Amazon's concept for the self-driving store.
4 years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store, so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers.
And no employees.
Welcome.
Yeah, there are 5 million retail workers in this country. So I think you're starting to put it together. Oh, this is a story I did about a robotic pizzeria chain.
This is ordered. The first thing we do is we press out the dough for you. We use a vision step to target the center of the pizza so we know exactly where the pizza is on the line.
All of the robots have cute Italian names. Pepe and Giorgio dispense the sauce. Marta smears it around.
And her job is to figure out how to spread that sauce perfectly.
After Marta comes Bruno, which delicately transfers the pizzas from the belt to the oven. And finally, we have...
So this is the world's first fully automatic self-cleaning pizza cutter. His name is Leonardo. 200 pounds of force, 8 perfect slices. Every single time. That's it.
Do not ever put your hands inside.
Yes, you would have 8 perfect slices of fingers.
They will have 18 locations by the end of this year in California, and they expect to go national next year. So this is obviously something we need to keep our eye on because there are 5 million food service workers in the country. All of these articles are now appearing like the robots are going to take our jobs, right? It's inevitable. We need to start thinking about it. Pew Research did this great study where they asked Americans, do you think most of our work will be automated? 70% said yes, but 82% said, but not my job. We think of it as being something for factory workers, for blue-collar workers. I don't think we should think that way. This guy I interviewed, Martin Ford, his new book is called Rise of the Robots. He says it's white-collar jobs, it's creative jobs, it's every kind of job. Is susceptible. These are some of the jobs that are currently being targeted by automation and robotics. He says it's time to start thinking about what happens in the post-work era. Like what happens when, like he's thinking 60, 70% unemployment, like by 2030. So he says it's time to start thinking about radical plans like the universal basic income. This is an actual program being discussed in actual governments right now. It's being tried in these countries and states. And that is, you get a check from the government to live on just for being alive. You get $40,000 a year just so you don't die, because you won't have a job. And then, like in Alaska, they do this. They give you a check just for living there. It's oil money. And apparently it's very successful. In Finland, they've been testing this with 2,000 people with a test program. And it's for unemployed people, and it's working. They're less stressed, they're less depressed, they don't fall through the cracks. The next question is, what are we going to do with our lives, right? Okay, so we have something to live on, but work is also meaning. Work is also a place to go and a crowd that we deal with. And so Ford says, well, we'll start small businesses, we'll spend more time with our families, we'll learn an instrument, pick up new skills, we'll figure out something. But to think that we're still going to go to work every day is nuts, he thinks. And he thinks it's coming on fast. So before you all slit your wrists, there are other approaches to this. So I also interviewed this guy, David Autor. He was one of Obama's advisors, super smart guy. And he points out that, look, there have been big technological revolutions before, and we always predict doom. We always predict this is the end, like when farm automation came in. In fact, he makes this great analogy. Here, I'll show you a clip of this. Oh.
Net reduce the amount of employment. So let's do the following thought exercise. It's the year 1900, and 40% of all employment is in agriculture, right? And so some torpy economist from MIT teleports back in time to Farmer Pogue here and says, 100 years from now, only 2% of people will be working in agriculture. What do you think the other 38% of people are going to do?
Well, I wouldn't know.
You say, search engine optimization, health and wellness, software, mobile devices. Most of what we do barely existed 100 years ago.
So in other words, just because, like he's the optimist, and even he is saying, we're not going to be doing the stuff we're doing, for sure. Most of this will be automated. What he is saying is, we don't know what we'll be doing. We don't have the imagination. And this is the way it always goes. Right? We see a technological disruption, whether it's cars displacing the horses or farm automation displacing hand workers, and we say, oh, that's it, we're all screwed. But in fact, we always find something to do. So we do have a tendency to over-predict, right? Look at the way fiction writers depict our future. 2001 was written in 1968 and predicted that by 2001 we'd be visiting other galaxies routinely. 1984 was written in 1949. Predicted by this point we would be, the pawns of big government, and government would know everything about us. Our intimates. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Forget that example. So my guess is that what will actually happen is, yes, total employment will go down, not as much as the doomsayers are predicting, but in the meantime, productivity will go up. Change is always scary. Every era faces its technological bugaboo. I don't know if you remember when the microwaves came out in the late 60s, early 70s, they said it would cause cancer. They said, don't eat that food. Obviously it doesn't cause cancer. It's just radio waves. The airplane, when commercial flying started in the late 20s, there were letters to medical journals from cardiologists saying, don't get on one of those things. The blood will pool in the back of your heart and kill you. It doesn't. Everything is scary. When tractors appeared in the 1850s, people said it was the work of the devil. It's not. We chuckle, but our descendants will chuckle at us. Oh my God, they're afraid of robots. So it is a new generation, an alien generation, but it is the status quo. I don't know exactly how it's going to shape up, but I can tell you for sure that it's going to be a wild ride. Thank you so much. I'll see you around town. Thank you.